Hello everyone, we are Lithuanian national champs of 2023 in Vilnius, capital of Lithuania. And what can I say? I'm in a lead group, 4 laps, 7 kilometers per lap, 260 meters of elevation, that's a lot. Sapieginė has a lot of hills to suffer and to offer, and we are standing at the start. Here I would like to pause for a moment for 3 reasons. One is Šarūnas Vasevičius is already clipped in. It should be a standing start with 1 foot on the ground. Nonetheless, apart from that, he also made a false start. So that was the second thing to mention. And the third is on the right, there is race official. So I don't know what he was doing, but probably his only goal was to fire that gun, and that's kind of it. But then someone with that much experience and titles and wins and all that thing does such things. Is it a good example? You tell me. I could mention that at the start we were 9 participants in the lead group. Nationwide, 9 participants. I don't know the reasons, maybe someone just have something against the federation, others against the organizers, thirds maybe afraid of something, but you can see that we are 9 people at the start. To be honest, out of 9 participants, only 5 has real chances to fight for the title. Sorry Arnas, but that's actually the truth. Then there is Arnas, who is a strong guy, and then there are 3 of us who came here just to ride. Yeah, you will see why I'm telling this already. A few minutes into the race, on this downhill, you can notice the speed difference. And I'm like, they are also not pedaling, but they are just running away. Reasons we will maybe figure out them during the video, but they are getting away really fast. I knew that in front there were going to be few quite sharp climbs, and I'm thinking the group won't get away from me. Well, I didn't exactly knew how fast we are going to go, and surprise, surprise, we are already far away. However, my racing colleague Arnas Palaitis is nearby. He's pushing the bike on the uphill, which is very nasty, sandy and hard to do. But after he went on the bike, he's gone as well. It's not good to see that, and also it's not good to see me in the leaderboards of Strava. So it's good that sometimes you also look at the leaderboards trying to find yourself and see something else apart your name in the list, so that's good. Bike weight is a sensitive topic, so sensitive that once I announced a poll in the post on YouTube, it got more than 100 votes, so it's something, and not something which happened in the past. For that reason, we will wait how much the bike will weigh for XCO Champ. It's a bit different setup because we have 2.4 tires, and also I made some upgrades. So it will vary a bit, and I will do full spec video at some point in the future, but 10, 95, 96. So it's almost 11 kilograms. Let's add the Garmin, the power bank, which I'm going to use on the bike, and we got more than 11 kilograms. Is it much? Is it not? Well, it's for everyone's taste. After a few climbs finished, there was yet another one, and I was pushing really hard, so hard that yet again I appeared in the leaderboard. And you can see that with Arnas Palaitis we did exactly the same time on this climb, so that means Arnas is still not far away. Even though we can't see him in the front, he is somewhere. A few days before the race I did 2 laps of recon of this course, and it was a good because it allowed to know such tricky parts like this one. You are going downhill, you know that on the left there will be sandy, sharp climb, very short one but steep and loose. And actually out of 4 laps I managed to do only single time without going off the bike, at least single foot pushing through. So knowing sometimes helps, sometimes you just have to take a look how the course changed over the period of our riders going past through it. In the morning on this course there was also MTB Karma event, so there were around 80 participants doing few laps. That means the course has changed a bit in compared to what it looked like on the key of the course. So for that reason, on the first lap, even though I really wanted to close anyone, at least in the distance that I could see them, at the same time I was cautious to just see how the course changed after those few hundred wheels ridden through the path. And surprisingly, in the middle of the lap I noticed that Venantas Lašinis is no longer participating. He stopped for some reason, I don't know what was the reason, and he doesn't also share his activity publicly, which he normally does. And what he also did on the race day is to check the course. The thing is that in regulations of this race it was not allowed to do the course in the morning, only in the afternoon. And Venanta shared his activity publicly. I criticized him on Strava. He was angry about that, like, I'm doing whatever I want to, but then he just hidden his activities. An elite rider who races for multiple years, participated in a lot of events. Last year he was provisional third place in XCO, but was disqualified because of not knowing the rules, so apparently he didn't learn the lesson last year. To be honest, I don't give a damn how many laps someone's going to do, but the thing is, no matter what are the reasons, you can accept that you made something wrong, but instead he's arguing and saying that I'm doing whatever I want. So as we have more than 200 meters per lap of elevation, that means there are going to be enough climbs, and one of those enough climbs was this, which was very steep, very long, and required quite a lot of effort. And I'm not going to say that, but what goes up must come down, and what came down here was a very tricky section with sand, with roots, very steep one, and you will have a comparison between 4 riders here. So thanks Agne Musevaite for sharing the footage, and I added it so we can just rewind it, look back and see how fast the guys went. So in this corner at the end I braked, I skid a bit, while Arnas Palaitis just nicely put his knee into the corner and went full speed. So at least for me it's nice to compare such way. What was different this time is that organizers prepared a map where spectators can go based on the title, so like impossible climb, very nice view and similar things. That lead to probably more spectators than normally is in such events, and it was really nice. But of course, the most spectators, as always, comes to the most trickiest parts, and one of those was the kicker. So even though it looks very simple, very fundamental, I will elaborate about this on the next lap, but here was really funny situation where Simona Jaraitė made a few pictures, and she told me that the gap is huge and you should start pushing a bit more. In my mind I'm thinking, Simona, do you think I'm resting or what? It was nice that she told me that, yet unfortunately I already knew that I'm busted. So on the finish of this lap we have lap times. Most likely everyone did the first lap the fastest. Ignas Ambrasas and Šarūnas Pacevičius are not there because, well, they haven't shared their activity. My time was definitely not up to the leader's time and leader's pace. Yet at the same time that doesn't mean that you can't have fun. Actually it does mean that. It was very hard, and on the second lap I was once again going on those routes, and on the left there was a couple from Poland who cheered and shouted, but there were two things. One, I didn't heard anything. Second, I didn't saw them. So it's very funny because actually I noticed them only when watching the footage. So you can imagine how things are different when you are going intensely, and at the same time then you know that for the wheel there is like 20 centimeters gap to go, and if you go a bit more to the side, one or the other, you are gone. And that's how I was gone on the second lap. Compared to the time on the first lap, you can see that it's 40 seconds difference, so it's very huge gap compared to what effort I did on the first lap. Of course, on the first it was a bit of different start because I was trying to catch and push, and on the second lap there's some nice addition to the lens. Even though I didn't saw anything what's happening on the lens, from time to time I just cleaned it on the handlebar holder just to make sure that the view is not obscured, at least. So more or less during the race I kept the speed of my rolling up to 15 kilometers per hour of average, and sometimes that speed was affected when I was not able to climb on this type of sandy uphill. But actually out of 4 laps, I managed to do it successfully 3 times, so I was surprised by that, because on the second lap it just skid over and it was like not possible to do it, so I was skeptical about my chances on the next laps. But then you are actually at the end of the pack. Let's be honest, that was far from good performance by me, and at the same time, when you are riding so long alone, you have to find the reasons to do so. And the reason just to finish the race is not a good reason, because it's far stretched in time and it's hard to reach. So for this reason you have to find some smaller goals to chase. For me, those goals normally are climbs, because that way I kind of, even though spend a lot of energy, it gives a bit of a push to go through and continue riding. And actually on the first lap I was not very successful on the kicker, so before coming on the second lap I'm like a kilometer away from this one, and I'm thinking how to survive it. And again, it's a very simple thing, but before the race and a few days before the race there were a lot of injuries, broken collarbones, broken wrists. So yeah, no matter how small or simple it is, it can make some influence for your bones. And that thought, when you know it, so normally we all understand that we are risking a bit, and that's fine. But when you know that there were recent examples of failures, and even experienced guy managed to injure himself, and it's not about the kicker's position, standing, it not being stable, etc. No, it's just you are going too fast, you are not fully aware, you are tired sometimes, and you can make a mistake. If you would be riding similar features throughout the year, that would be no problems at all, because you develop that skill set. But for some reason, when it's not easily available, everyone starts to train these type of things just before you need to unleash that skill. So yeah, that's something to think about and train in the future in order to avoid such things. On the third lap, I started to overtake a woman by 1 lap. Knowing that there's still some live creatures on the course was okay, at least something, because riding for 2 hours in these type of conditions, the rain from time to time happening, was not the most pleasing experience, I would say. Yet at the same time, after looking the footage, I realized that the course was really great, and shout out to Karma Experiments, MTB Karma, everyone who participated in preparing this course. It's really nice. Yes, maybe it lacks a bit of technical features like a stationary course would have, so please don't start comparing the courses like Martynas Utkinas does, who just overtook me. Imagine that Master started 10 minutes after us and Martynas just flew here away. Martynas Utkinas is very speedy in technical sections, in single tracks and downhill, so he has kind of a different sense of speed and he's always showcasing it. I believe last year in Masters he was second, lost to Andrejus Dolgovas, but this year he was, as you could have seen, flying fast and he finished first. So again, coming back to the topic of the course, Martinez was one of those who said that technical features would be very nice to have, but keep in mind that it's not a stationary course, so it's something different. We can think and compare Lithuanian XCO with Latvian one, which happened on the past weekend as well in Ogre. So I assume that they have stationary location where they have all those nicely human-made berms and jumps, and it's like different world. But even with that in mind, there was not too much participants involved in Latvia, where MTB is very popular, so I was surprised by that fact. Anyways, you can see that I was struggling really hard on this course. So when Martynas Liutkanas overtook me, I was hoping that hopefully it's not Ignas Ambras. He was not there, but probably he was really close, like a few minutes into lapping me. Thankfully he didn't do that, and I had that chance to suffer for one lap more. At the end of third lap, the rain started heavily, and then I went into the fourth lap. I asked guys whether they can give me the bottle. Thanks for Dominikas Penalis who gave me that bottle. I actually drank a bit, sipped a bit, then just let off a bit of water from the bottle in order to make it a bit less heavier, and started go climbing once again. As we enter fourth lap, it's probably worth mentioning why I think I was so much slower than everyone else. Basically, I was expecting that it will be heavily raining, so I used low tire pressures. I went with 2.4s, which on the recon was nice. They were rolling quite well, so I added 1.3 and 1.4 to the tires. The back one was light, so it's Pirelli Scorpions. Actually, I haven't tried those pressures previously. It was a guess from the past what pressure could work well. Surprisingly, on the warm-up I already felt that the rear might be a bit too sluggish, but I went the thoughts away to add more air because heavily rain was expected. Well, heavily rain was not there, yet rolling resistance was there, and even though it wouldn't have changed anything in terms of results, in terms of the feeling, it would have been. So never test those things before the race. It was a bit of different occasion because there were a lot of routes, maybe a bit less than I anticipated in my head, but on the heavily rain, hopefully those tires could have helped me. But what surprised me as well is that in the forest it wasn't that wet at all. So there were a few sections which are more open, not that much into the woods, which became a bit wet and slippery, but actually those sections where it was sandy and where it was among the leaves, they were perfect. I mean, you could find even sections where probably there were some dust coming out of when you are braking, so it was far from wet conditions, and my low tire pressure strategy went into the trash. But again, it wouldn't have changed anything, so I'm struggling towards the finish. And some parts actually I felt even more confident on the fourth lap, even though the time didn't prove that, but at least it felt that way. There is actually one other thing I would like to point out, is that I have the Masters license, which was issued by Lithuanian Federation, and guess what? There's no Masters category when you are not older than 35, and I'm not. Let me put it this way: Lithuanian Cycling Federation issued licenses for Masters category up to 35 years of age, which are not available when it comes to UCI. So there was no Masters category for age group from 30 to 35. I didn't mind going into the lead, but the logic where you issue something which you later do not support yourself blows my mind. Like, I don't have what to add here as well. But The latest goal for the race was to finish it. When you are close to the finish and you already hear that ceremony is already begun, you know that you are a bit late. But what can you do? So that's how national champs of XCO happened. So yeah, I took 6th place out of 9. Technically out of 8 because Venantas Lešinis went out of business in this race. I don't know the reasons, but currently I know that he's in Poland racing road race, so maybe that was a good excuse to take that DNF. I had plans to showcase our results in a nice way, but we were not successful in retrieving them, so not results this time around, and maybe when there will be more participants we will have it. Maybe next time we will have it. Maybe not, who knows. All in all, I would like to thank Karma Experiments for making amazing course, and even though it was a suffering, after a while I'm pretty sure I would like to repeat it once again, because it's really nice and technical. Even though it was a punishment of some sort, I'm pretty sure that this lap will remain in our minds. It will stay in YouTube as well as in our Garmin devices where we will do it from time to time. Last but not least, thanks to everyone who supported on the course, wrote the messages, and in general it's just nice to have that community of support.